it was a good practice. It wasn't as sharp as the first two. This one, the guys came back, and I thought they were really, really sharp. I thought they competed till the end. I thought the tempo was good. The offense looked sharp and crisp. I was really pleased with today.
What are you seeing early out of the old guys that you have? Some of them were not there for you in the spring, and now you've got everybody. What is that dynamic like with those 6-year guys?
Yeah, I think those older guys, as you can imagine, providing a lot of leadership. But I think the main thing I see globally across the team, not just offense, not just defense, not just special teams, is the willingness to do things right by everybody, and that starts at the top. And I think those freshmen right now are getting a little, baptism by fire, and they don't know any other way. They know those old guys do things right. They know those old guys demand them to do things right, and it's rubbing off on them. And I think that's the biggest thing I see through 3 practices so far, or 4.
Do you need any freshmen to play this year for you? Do you have the luxury of letting each one of them develop?
It's college football, so you never want to say, oh, this guy's coming in, he's going to be our guy, because you don't know. They're freshmen. You don't want to say this guy's going to redshirt because you don't know. I've been impressed with some of the freshmen we have so far, and if one of them's good enough to play, whether that's rotationally or getting in the starting lineup, I'm all for it. With those 4 games they can play, I definitely think we need to play some to play, especially on special teams. But I'm not opposed to some of those guys getting some reps and competing for a starting job right now.
Which freshmen about Nick Henrich, one of the guys in the mix, how he's left?
Yeah, Nick, I thought through the spring, I thought Nick played as well as anybody on the football team. And so far through 4 practices, he's continued on that path. He's got competition. That room is pretty tight. You got those 4 guys at the top right now. You got Nick, and you got Luke, and you got Garrett Snodgrass, and you got Chris Kolarvik. And then you got some freshmen, some young guys pushing them from behind. So that competition is really, really high. And I think that's really, really good to have that competition, because even if those guys separate themselves, they know they can't stop. But Nick's done a really good job so far.
With the collection of guys you have at outside linebacker and defensive line, I know you played a lot of different fronts and stuff last year, but do you feel like there's another level of mixing and matching or creativity that you can get to with the collection of experience you have too?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an opportunity to be very multiple, if you will. That's a term media likes, I think, multiple. But an opportunity to play some 3-man fronts, some 4-man fronts, even some true 5-man fronts, and then get really creative in pass rush situations, because some of those interior guys can rush the edge, and some of those outside guys can rush. They can speed rush an inside guard and those type of things. So I think it does give you a little bit of flexibility in there. But the biggest thing about that group is they all understand what we've tried to get done. They've all been through the rigmarole for a while, and they're doing a really good job of making plays that they're supposed to make right now.
Trying to get more pressure on a quarterback? Everyone wants to get more pressure.
Got to get more pressure.
Does it come down to, can you scheme more pressure, or is it about at some point guys winning one-on-one?
Yeah, I think it's both. To be honest with you, I looked at just about all the sacks in the Big Ten last year from every team, and it's not like it was 80% 4-man rush and 20% 5 or more. It's pretty even, maybe a little more tilted towards the 5 or more. So I think you got to be able to scheme some pressure. You got to find a way to get guys home. And then when we rush 4 or we rush 3, somebody's just got to have the will to win. When you rush 4, one guy's getting double teamed, 3 guys got to go one-on-one. Somebody's got to go win that battle. And I think you can affect the quarterback in many different ways, right? You can sack the quarterback. You can tip a ball down to the line of scrimmage, or you can just pressure a throw and make him throw it away, or you can collapse the pocket and make him throw it out of the well. But however that happens, we have to find a way to affect the quarterback.
When you have so many guys on this defense that have been in now for years, how different is this fall camp maybe compared to previous years in Nebraska?
Yeah, it's actually been really fun for me. There's still some freshmen that have to get taught the basics, but a lot of the meetings, a lot of the installs, we're talking about real football. We're talking about situations. We're talking about technique. We're talking about detail, instead of, okay, we're putting in the defense, here's your job, here's what you do, let's go play football. When we get through that, we've got to really detail things, and we've got to talk about just overall global football knowledge, football formations, football plays, and I think that's really helped the guys, the older guys especially, move their game to the next level.
Compared to in the fall and maybe even in the spring, where have you seen the biggest
Within our group of guys, I think that D-line guys did a really good job last year. I think those outside backer, that room grew a lot last year, and they're continuing to go. And then these young inside backers, obviously a lot of growth happened there because you lost Colin Miller to a terrible, terrible deal, and then we lost Will at the end. And those guys have really had to step up not only their football acumen but also their leadership because they've become the guys in that room now. And so I think probably as good as the DBs are, as good as the front is, I think that inside backer room has probably grown the most.
When you look at some of your young D linemen coming up the ranks, you see guy in California brought in, obviously how promising does that young group look just when you see them in person?
I mean, if you look at those two, I think it was Jalen's birthday yesterday, so he just turned 18. You look at him and Rue, you don't look at 18-year-olds. They look like grown men. Now, you got to remember they're still 18-year-olds, and they still got a long ways to go, and they got to learn the game, and they got to learn how to do things. But just their sheer ability and their sheer size is pretty impressive, and so I think that's very promising as you move down into the future.
Can Weaver play nose, or is he going to be just the end for you guys?
Oh, I think Jalen's going to probably start off playing both inside positions, nose and D tackle, and then we'll see where we go from there.
With Isaac Gifford and Jamin Wright, do those guys have set positions? Are they, or do you just allow them to maybe develop in a couple of different spots, do different things?
Yeah, to be honest with you, that nickel spot, JoJo is kind of his own entity because he was a safe. I like to have at that position, you'd like to have a DB and pull him into there, right, for cover reasons. JoJo kind of grew his way out of DB, if you will, so we kind of created that position a little bit for him. Isaac and Javen are getting a lot of teaching and reps at both safety and nickel, so they can kind of be intertwined into that mix if we need a few guys, if we need some experience as we move into the future. But as we go into the future, it'll be, you want a safety or a corner to move in there, and then he can be able to go back and forth if we need to.
So the way either of those guys might play that spot in the future is probably a little bit different than the way JoJo plays it now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean, I think we've got the package down. We asked JoJo to do some not ordinary things for that position just because of his size and strength, and we can leave him in there in base defense. As we move forward in that nickel package, I think we've got it tailored down so we can use the skill set of a DB. JoJo's got the movement skills of a DB, so he can do it. Normally, however you want to do it, when we were at UCF, we had two corners and two safeties. When we went to nickel, we brought the nickel in to play the slot and a third the corner in to play the slot, a third corner to play the field. That might happen. It might be a safety. And I think depending on the skill set of those guys, you're going to tailor your calls a little bit more towards them, but you still got to be able to make them real and bring them off the edge and do some of the things that JoJo does.
The early impressions of Tyreek Johnson, now that you've had him for 4 practices, and kind of what you have to work with there?
Yeah, Tyreek's done a nice job. Coming out of into a new program, learning a new scheme, you can definitely see in one-on-ones and those types of things, the elite movement skills that he has that made him a 5-star recruit. Once he gets more comfortable with the guys and in the scheme, I think he's going to be a really, really valuable asset to our football team.
With so many guys back, do you feel like you're in a different spot 4 days into camp this year than you years?
Yeah, that's kind of what we were alluding to earlier. I feel like it's we're not in general math anymore. We're like in whatever you guys took. I took like general math 1 and 2. You guys like calculus or whatever, right? We're there. So we're getting these formulas figured out instead of figuring out 2 + 2, and it's really nice. It's almost, you get to the install with the older guys, they're almost kind of like, seriously, we going to install this again? And you have to do it for the rookies and those types of things, but it just feels different. It doesn't feel like it's Groundhog Day, like we're starting over every single day, like some it has in the past when you're putting in a new system and you're getting new players and those types of things. It feels like we've already got the groundwork laid. Now we're putting on the trim and the shingles and the details, and that's a good feeling for me.
Going back a little bit, I'll test your memory. I feel like part of Tony and Tuioti ending up here was a connection that you had, right? Can you maybe talk a little bit about just how he got here? And I know it's been a while now, but how well he's integrated in with the staff to sort of put his mark on what's now going to be a veteran group.
Yeah, I think anytime you lose a assistant coach, you know what happens in this game, just like any other sport, I believe in college football, is you have guys that call you and say, hey, this is a really good guy. And sometimes you don't know the guy very well and you don't pay much attention, and other times you do. And Jerry Azzanero, who's the D coordinator at UCLA, we were together at Oregon and Philadelphia Eagles, called and said, Tony's the guy. He knows how he can teach him how you want him to be taught. He knows I taught him. He knows what the system is. He knows how to get it done. It's not going to be a tough transition. Then we interviewed Tony, and he did an outstanding job in that interview. So the transition was very, very easy, and I'm super, super glad that he's here. He's made a really big difference on the football team.
You guys have pads today? Or
Half pad, yeah. I think I don't even want to say what the new rules are from the NCAA, but I know there's a couple days in helmets and then a couple days in half pads. I'm not sure when they let us put the full. I'm like one day at a time. I look at the schedule the next day, and when it says full pads, I know we're in full pads. But I see the guys are in half pads right now. I know the NCAA's got new rules about exactly when we have to be in what gear at the beginning and throughout camp. So I think the first full pads is tomorrow, maybe the following day, one of those two.